Who are ya?
It's the Toronto Til I Die pre-recorded match preview.
Hello and welcome back to Toronto Til I Die, the Toronto FC fan show. I'm Mike Newell, and yes, this is week 2 of Who Are Ya, our new show previewing Toronto FC's upcoming opponents. We're going to be bringing on fellow bloggers, podcasters, journalists, and our friends from around the league to provide perspectives on this week's opponent. We've got a lot to get into on this show, but please, everybody, say hello to my TTID co-host, Jeffrey P. Nesker. Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
Sup? Looking forward to this one. Always nice to talk to someone that gets to go to Ben's as often as I'm sure Tyler gets to go to, and you can be positive that's going to be one of my questions.
Absolutely.
A little spoiled.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This Saturday, your Reds are back home in a tough match against Atlanta. TFC entered this game coming off their first loss of the season against NYCFC away, a display that showed a lot of the new fighting spirit John Herman has brought to the team, but ultimately exposed some of the weaknesses we saw last season. Coming to BMO Field is an improving Atlanta United side who, behind the creative brilliance of Thiago Almedia and the goal machine of Giorgos Giakoumakis. Here to walk us through the early season Atlanta United is Tyler Pilgrim, founder and co-host of Scarves N SpikesPodcast. They, like Toronto Til I Die, are a weekly live show. Tyler, welcome to Who Are Ya? How's it going in Atlanta?
Hey, it's going well. The weather has up and down, and it's not making my job any easier with speaking, but going well. And I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you taking the time. And the weather here, if you think the weather is up and down where you are, here in Toronto, the weather is it's literally snowing outside right now.
Literally a blizzard outside. It makes no sense.
It's a little nuts, and we, got a home game in a couple of days. And by that point, it'll probably be nice and sunny and probably nice and warm.
No, we want to scare them. It's going to be a blizzard with tornadoes and
blizzard, igloos. Yeah, we all walk around in snowshoes.
Yeah, snowshoes. Bring your snowshoes. Remind the team to bring their snowshoes.
Before we get into the matchup, Tyler, I was curious to know how Atlanta United fits into the sports landscape in the city, because we saw the team take off right away when it's in its first couple of seasons, and obviously winning a championship in 2018. But the last few seasons haven't been as kind to the club. So where is sort of the team in that landscape today?
I mean, Atlanta United is still one of probably the premier event to go to if you're in Atlanta in terms of just entertainment and fun. We have the Braves, and the Braves are coming off some very successful seasons and won the World Series a couple of years ago. The Falcons are the Falcons. I'm not going to say much more about them. But they share the stadium with the Benz, and we always make the joke that, the Falcons just share that stadium, but it's Atlanta United Stadium. And there's no environment that I've ever been to in sports in general that rivals what you get at an Atlanta United game at the Benz. And it's still, to this day, it's still rocking. It's still fun. The attendance is still there. As soon as they opened everything back up after COVID, it was like it never went away, which is great. So it's still the thing. It really is. It's still a party.
Absolutely. Awesome. So 2 questions. This is more of a observation, but isn't that wild to say that the Falcons are sharing a stadium with Atlanta United? Like, if you had told anybody when the Benz was being built that the soccer team in MLS would usurp the NFL franchise for ticket sales and viability in the marketplace, no one would have believed you. And then my second question, were you a soccer fan before Atlanta United, or was Atlanta United your entree into the wider soccer global mosaic?
So I'll do the second question first. I was a soccer fan. I was a soccer fan growing up, but it really hit me hard in 2010 in the World Cup. South Africa, I believe that was. And that was when it just drew me in. And then here in Atlanta, we had probably the most recent team that was somewhat popular was the Silverbacks. And that kind of started to fade away whenever Atlanta United was announced, and they got announced in 2014. But even then, nobody knew, to go back to your first question, what it was going to be like. And like one of the co-hosts on my show and our website, Tommy, he actually lives in Cleveland, Ohio, and has never lived in Atlanta, and actually came down here for a Falcons game the same weekend that Atlanta United were playing, and the whole city was decked out in Atlanta United stuff everywhere, billboards, the whole 9 yards. And he fell in love with it. And so you had the added benefit of it drawing in tons of new people as well. But yeah, I mean, that's not to say the Falcons, I mean, they do well in terms of like numbers, I think, but the quality on the field, maybe not so much. But yeah, I mean, it's a blessing, really. And it's something that, I think the fans have done well to not take for granted over the years.
Yeah, so that goes right into my second question, and this could be an essay answer. So, what's the game day experience at the Benz like? I did remember just now that you said post pandemic, it came right back to normal, which I don't think we could say at BMO Field yet. It still sort of feels like the last vestiges of extra security and social distancing and all that stuff. But what's it like? Because it looks pretty amazing.
It is. So I already said it one time, and I hesitate to say it again because of Jim Curtin over in Philadelphia last year. He made the comment that it was like a party, and that upset a lot of people because he was saying, "Oh, the only reason they show up is because it's like a party," which is not true. But it is very much a European kind of atmosphere, not to the same degree, and I'm not trying to compare it to European football, but you have the numbers, right? You have the stadium that sometimes they open up the top deck for the 70,000 capacity and all, and it's full.
Stupid.
It's crazy and it's loud, and you've got the flags over in the supporter sections. You've got some, obviously the chants. They've added some new chants this year. Outside, you've got 2 separate tailgate areas that are always packed. You have the supporters march, and it's just, and then the food's cheap, which is great in the bins, but it's just,
I'm crying, not just inside.
I think everybody is, man. Again, I know it's a blessing, and I'm really, really grateful for it. But
Thank you, Arthur.
It's a fun time, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm there actually at the end of May for a conference. I'm hoping I can maybe catch a game, but I'm there during the week, so I don't know if they've got any midweek matches. I got to check.
I think they do.
And it's one of the things that I've always loved about going on away trips. I've done a lot of away trips to different MLS cities in my long time with TFC. And it's one of the things I enjoy that we don't really do here because legally we kind of can't, is tailgating. Like, it is a great experience.
Alien to us.
I love it.
I did not know that was a thing you can't do.
No, we don't really do that here because like tailgating in parking lots is just not really
fire and drunk people. It's sort of against the kind of protectionist, slightly Big Brother-ish. Upbringings. But no, we don't. We just have to buy like $40 hot dogs at the stadium or stuff.
Exactly.
Well, we welcome you down here whenever they play again. Y'all come down. We'll show you a good time.
If it's not on Peachtree or Piedmont, I get lost in Atlanta. I don't know any other streets. So
Peachtree and Piedmont, there's like 800 of them anyway, so you may still get lost.
Oh
anyway.
No, I think I remember that. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, look, obviously, the game day experience has well been talked about in Atlanta, and I want to get a little bit into sort of the back and forth between our club and your club, because there has been a bit of that. In a lot of ways, surprisingly. But like, just for background, I work for the Toronto Blue Jays, so we're always going to hold one over the Braves no matter what. Yep. But there have been some classic games between TFC and Atlanta, even going back into your first year, our record-breaking year, the Javinko game, the Josie Seba drinking the beer in the 2-2 draw. Obviously, the big one everybody thinks about is the 2019 East Final, where you guys are dominating and Nick DeLeon comes out of nowhere from the top rope.
Smashes it. Yeah. I also remember that home game we were playing against Atlanta where they got a penalty. Like, we were all out the door, and then they called back for a penalty.
Back.
We were on the concourse already.
Martinez missed it.
Yeah, I know.
Yep,
And there was also
that was
the
fun.
Chris Mavinga's first game with TFC where Joseph Martinez and Miguel Almiron just absolutely torched him. We thought he
We
was
were
the worst
worried
center
about
back
that
in the
guy.
world.
We
Turns out he
were
was a competent
worried
center
about
back.
that
But
guy.
anyway,
Yeah.
that all says, how does Atlanta United and specifically Atlanta United fans, excuse me, view Toronto FC, not just from the past, but like kind of now, like how does
You're allowed to
the
laugh.
fans, yeah, well, how do you look at Toronto FC?
I think the one that always comes up the most is that Eastern Conference final. It always comes up every time. But I think, the fans in a lot of ways, we have a pretty good set of traveling supporters, but obviously when you're crossing into another country, even though it's just Canada, that can sway the numbers. And
Yeah,
it's not like it's a drive up the road. It's not for us. It's not Nashville or Charlotte or even Orlando.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the matchup, I think there's always been a legitimate respect because of what Toronto's done, and also what BMO Field is, what the location, the fan base, and I don't know numbers, but I know y'all do have a passionate fan base, and I think there's just like a legitimate respect there, and it's not like how our Atlanta fans are with like Orlando, and things get a little spicy. There's it's the two matches that come along every season, and you're going to get something good out of it. And that's really, I mean, if you're a neutral, it's great. But then for us, it's like, man, what's going to happen in this one? Because it really could go either way.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think there is a begrudging respect from TFC fans to Atlanta as well. I think there's also like a little bit of jealousy, like because just you guys hit it off. You hit it off right at the beginning. Like it took us like a decade to figure it out, and you guys hit it right out of the park
and
the
also
first time around.
your ascendancy to winning MLS Cup in 2018 was the year of our CONCACAF Champions League run, where we came up one short and then just completely sputtered into a death spiral in league play. So we had to watch you guys sort of, it's difficult to repeat as MLS Cup champions, but we had to watch you kind of take our mantle away after we had just sort of got punched in the mouth by Chivas. So yeah, I mean that's the stuff that great rivalries are built up.
Yeah.
Now, according to the power rankings out of MLS.com, you're the greatest team in the history of the universe, and you can do no wrong. Sorry, I had to get that shot in. But realistically, what kind of form are Atlanta on in the moment? And I know why. I know J. Sam Jones used to write for Dirty South, so sometimes I like to make fun of him for why Atlanta inexplicably are number one in the power rankings when they have a bye week. But that's between me and him. So
yeah. Go poke at him a little bit. No, I think this last game, it was a weird one against Orlando.
Yeah.
It's a quote unquote rivalry game. You won 2-0 at home, get a clean sheet. It's first clean sheet Atlanta's had since I think August of last year against Nashville at home. The defense is going back to last season. The defense was rough. That was a big focus in this offseason. The news came out today. We had it up on our website earlier today, scarvesandspikes.com, that our new Norwegian center back has a meniscus injury, so he will definitely miss this game. Don't know how many games he'll miss, but in a international break and everything else going on right now, that's just another one that you were really hoping to have if you're an Atlanta fan, because he's been really good, and now he's out. So but as far as the form goes, to that original question, I mean, this match against Orlando, like on paper, it looks great in terms of the score, but it was actually worse, I think, than the New England match. New England, Atlanta more or less dominated them, especially in the second half. And then this Orlando match it was chippy. It was really not pretty. I mean, they got an early, pretty good goal. Pedro Galese from Orlando just kind of didn't do Galese things in the beginning, and then he did later on in the first half. And then Giorgos Giakoumakis just scores a banger to make it 2-0, and they hold on to the clean sheet. But it was not good. Like Orlando had tons of possession, tons of chances, and it was a weird feeling of a game. So take that, then you take all the guys going out on international duty, and this is not an easy match for Atlanta in any way, shape. It's not an easy match going away in MLS, period. But then you take all these other factors into consideration, and it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one.
And don't worry, I mean, we just got the report that our, right back
Richie Larea.
that we love, Canadian international Richie Larea, is going to be out for a couple of weeks on hamstring surgery. So
A couple of months.
yeah,
of months. He's going to miss
so
the decisive Canadian men's national team playing with Trinidad and Tobago.
yeah.
I hope I
Watch
said
out
that
for them.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
'cause,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't want to talk about the men's
that's
national
a
team.
that's a banana peel match if I've ever seen one
Yeah.
before. And we lose out on Copa, and our federation's in a lot of trouble. So
Yeah.
we really need
This,
that victory.
let's
Yeah.
not make this a Canada soccer podcast.
Yeah.
'Cause that could be
Yeah.
a lot longer
Yeah.
than the half an
Yeah.
hour we got slated here. But
Mhm.
you kind of mentioned them before, so maybe I'll rephrase this question. The question really was going to be about the danger men that Gonzalo Pineda would be relying on. Clearly, those two names are Almeida and Giakoumakis, but are there other players that TFC fans and John Herman would be game planning around?
Yes. The two main ones are going to be Sean De Silva, left winger, and then Saba Lobjanidze, right winger.
Mhm.
Saba is a Georgian, not the state, he's actual country, Georgian
Mhm,
international, and he kind of inexplicably didn't get called. He's been a feature guy for Georgia over the past couple of years,
Hmm.
but he didn't get called up in this window, which is good for us. I think he was a little irritated about it because he played his life out against Orlando. He was like the one really, really standout guy in that match. But those are your two other pieces of the attack, and that's where Atlanta and Pineda are going to try to focus the ball. They're going to try to play it out wide because you then have behind Saba, you have Brooks Lennon, who is having the past calendar year has been the greatest of his career. He's a right back, loves to get forward, and then those are the main ones. Those are the main ones because we have so many that are out right now. But those are your three. I think that if you're looking for names to keep an eye on, those are the three for sure: Brooks Lennon, Saba Lobjanidze, and Sean De Silva.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm already afraid of the angry Georgian who didn't get called up, who has a chip on his shoulder. That's pretty scary. What is your favorite mispronunciation of Giorgos Giakoumakis?
Man, I've heard so many, and I've seen so many that it's misspelled in so many different ways. I think my favorite one was probably one I heard today on a YouTube video, actually, and I can't remember who it was, but it was like Giakoumakis, and I was like, how do you do that? Like, I understand it's a hard name.
Man. It's a,
you just
damn
drop a
hard
couple of
name.
vowels.
Yeah,
and you just go for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're at score predictions. We didn't do this last week. Are we suddenly going to force people to make score predictions?
Before we go there, just one additional question. This is around Brad Guzan in goal, because I feel like going into this season, a lot of people were like, okay, well, this is like Brad is no longer going to be the number one. They're going to look for another number one. And yet, lo and behold, Brad Guzan is like clearly solidly going to be the Atlanta United number one again. What is the feeling around that in terms of, Guzan and should he still be the number one in Atlanta?
Yes. The short answer is yes. Brad has made a lot of people, including myself, eat their words because to give you the quickish answer, he tore his Achilles in 2022 and came back inexplicably quickly. And then against New York City in 2023, early in the season, he messed up his MCL and played the rest. It was like at halftime and played the rest of the game, had surgery and was back like 8 weeks later. And then he played the rest of the season out. But the shot stopping was not great last year. And then you go into the offseason and he comes back and they bring in Josh Cohen from he was last at Maccabi Haifa in Israel.
Yeah.
And Champions League experience. Josh Cohen's a great goalkeeper, and he is going to be a guy that's legitimately going to push Brad Guzan for time. Atlanta hasn't had that behind Brad in quite some time. So I think if you know Brad, he is he is not okay with not playing. He's not okay with it. And so I think having this guy behind him, pushing him, is helping him. But I think having the rest in the offseason has significantly helped him. I think he had a full, 2-3 months to really get over those injuries. And I mean, he's 39. So like, he's not, 25, super springy and spry, but he looks way better than he has in the past 2 years. And you're not going to get much more experience than you get out of him. So between the experience and now being healthy, I think that's really, really helped him.
It's a good problem to have. 100%.
Yeah.
Now here's why we don't do predictions. Like, there's a prediction league for Waking the Red that I consistently just guess 2-1 TFC, because that's like, it seems to be like where I go. So every one of my predictions is going to be 2-1 TFC. Like, you can.
Oh, come on, go out on a limb on this one, Nesker. Come on. Come on.
No,
right,
it served me well in prediction league.
All right, fair enough. We are at score prediction time. This is something we're doing new here on Who Are Ya? And we're gonna go on a limb and hey, look, if we got pie in our face come next week, then we got pie in our face come next week. I can live with that. Tyler, you are our guest. You go first. Just consider both where Atlanta United is in terms of form, and then obviously TFC coming off a tough loss in New York. What's your feeling on this match?
Well, I was a little more confident about this before like 10 o'clock this morning when I found out that Gregerson was not going to be here, but I've already written it. It's on paper on our website, so I have to say it again. I said 2-1 Atlanta, and I know that's being very hopeful. I know it's being very hopeful.
This is why this is the only week we're doing this.
A lot of people are going to be like, really? They're going to go up to Canada and get a result? Now, I mean, it's tough, but I've already written it down, so I got to stick with it. It's 2-1. I hope
100%. You stick with it. I mean, if our roles were reversed, I would have been like, hey, you're going to put me on the spot. 400,000 Atlanta to 0 Toronto FC. Take that one to the bank, you guys. Anyway, Mike, this is your idea. Let's go. I'm gonna highlight this one.
Yeah, no,
please
do. I'm gonna be boring and go with a 1-1 draw. I actually think this is got kind of draw written all over it. I think you've got an Atlanta team is starting to pick a little bit of form. I know you mentioned that the Orlando game wasn't as dominant as the score may have shown, but I think, look, Toronto FC started off really well, and the vibes are good. The vaping's done. No one's fighting each other in the locker room. Nobody's trying to get the manager out. So that is an improvement amongst itself. But there are still holes in this team, and I think we saw that in New York. And I think what they'll carry them, I think, is that they do play a little bit differently at home, and that will carry them in there. But I do think there's a goal in it for Atlanta, and I think there is a goal in it for TFC. So I'm going 1-1. I'm going to be boring and bland, and I will get called out for it once this episode drops.
Very diplomatic. That is
completely fine.
I would be happy with a 1-1 draw. Honestly,
I think everybody. I think everybody would be happy with a 1-1 draw here, right? Like, TFC get 8 points within your first 5 game. Like, that's not a bad place for TFC to be.
Gotta wash the stank of Yankee Stadium off, man. Have to wash the stank of Yankee Stadium off with the.
Could have walked away with a draw. Just IO.
Yeah.
You just gotta. Nah, it is what it is. All right, Mr. Nesker, you want to take
all right. So I never get to do cold reads. So thank you for tuning into Who Are You, a Toronto Till I Die preview show. A big thank you to Tyler Pilgrim from the Scarves and Spikes podcast. You can check out all of their United coverage at scarvesandspikes.com. Anything else you'd like to plug, Tyler?
No, that's it. Scarvesandspikes.com and then the podcast over on YouTube.
All right, man.
Over on YouTube, are you on Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff with an audio?
Yeah, the audio is on those. We do the video on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter. So
amazing. For us, you can follow us on Instagram if you haven't already. We're also on YouTube and all the other places. The username is at TTID Show, or just search Toronto Till I Die to find us. From both of us, Tyler, thanks so much, and hopefully we can do this again the next time we face off.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate y'all having me on. It's been awesome. I love the name of the show, by the way. I think it's great.
Awesome.
You know,
Thanks, man.
It's not. It's not a work in progress anymore, obviously, because
It's not a work in progress. People like it enough that it's no longer a work in progress.
Hey,
No, Tyler, obviously we appreciate it, man. Thanks for taking the time. And yeah, let's chat again.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
Who are ya?
It's the Toronto Til I Die pre-recorded match preview.